The COVID pandemic is having a devastating effect in our life. It is transforming the way that we live and is creating everlasting changes in many aspects, for example, in the way that we shop. After several lockdowns and store closures, consumers are rapidly switching to online shopping, thus transforming our retail landscape. As a result, many demographic groups are now shopping online, and some of them for the first time. These include groups such as the older groups that were used to a more traditional shopping, or low-income groups that have a challenging access to a reliable, high-speed internet. More, the situation resulting from the pandemic is impacting low-income groups that might have a challenging access to new technologies or even traditional financial services. For example, it is known that there are certain groups that do not have access to a bank account, thus affecting their ability to do online shopping. Moreover, even before the pandemic, there were signals that certain marketing actions were unfair for some unprivileged groups. Research found evidence that some online retailers steered customers to more expensive products. However, this will bring the question on whether this might be causing that some unprivileged groups pay more than needed to the same products and services. Other retailers created promotions based on location and the availability of competitive stores in a particular zip code. However, these marketing activities could be affecting customers from rural areas as well as from low-income neighborhoods, creating what might be called online deserts, and online versions of the infamous food deserts, where there is a lack of competitive options nearby. This might sound like it is not a problem in online retail, but just think for a moment that in some places, customers do not have access to a nearby locker, or pickup, or a drop-off facility, having to incur in extra costs for doing some of the things that other groups receive for free. Or think about the case in where a retailer offers a discount only if there is a competitive store nearby, and that for some people this might result in not receiving any discount, as they might be living in a place with not many options nearby. In another example, there are other retailers that offer different prices for the same item based on the device or browser used for shopping, and this might affect certain demographic groups that might have a low-cost phone, desktop, or tablet. Although there is a good deal of research done in the topic of fairness and ethical AI, this research specifically focuses on online pricing and online retail. This project is about being able to detect and mitigate bias that might be present in online pricing algorithms, such as the ones resulting from artificial intelligence. Although there are different approaches for detecting such biases, such as crowdsourcing and reverse engineering, this project will look at the data and the algorithms. The goal of this project is to be able to offer marketers and researchers an application of a method developed for detecting and mitigating bias. And the most interesting part of using SAS Viya in this project is the ability to integrate a variety of analysis in a single analytics platform. Also, this project wanted to test the idea of using open source code, such as the one from AI360, and adapting it for a particular use case. Moreover, it also enhances the integration of this model into a production model, given the potential offered by SAS Viya. Our approach consists of three phases: discovery, bias detection, and bias mitigation. During the discovery phase, we look at the data for biases in the distribution and the representation, as well as we look at proxy variables. For example, when a retailer develops a promotion that is only available online, it might impact customers without reliable access to the internet, or elder customers that might have challenge to use online coupons or vouchers. During the discovery phase, we look at the data for biases in the distribution and the representation, as well as we look at proxy variables. For example, When a retailer develops a promotion that is only available online, it might impact customers without reliable access to the internet, or elder customers that might find challenges to use online coupons or vouchers. The solid visualization tools offered by SaaS Viya allow us to create effective visualizations and dashboards. Moreover, it allows us to rapidly create or adapt depending on the data that we receive. Even more interesting is the ability to create predictive and explainable models from the available data. In the discovery phase, it is necessary to slice the data across different variables and to encode existing attributes into new ones. For example, it allows us to set privileged and unprivileged groups. Definition of an unprivileged group can depend on a number of factors, including age, gender identity, race, national origin, but we'll also consider proxy variables, such as living in a particular location or having a particular computer or device. We found that this analysis was possible to do both in SaaS Viya through SaaS Visual Analytics as well as using open source code. In the bias detection phase, we used a number of open source algorithms, such as those presented by AI360, but also those developed by the open source community. At this point, the ability of using existing open source code without the need to redo and recode is paramount for this project. As a matter of fact, our approach was to use open source code without major modification, just the ones needed to ensure an integration with the platform. Next, we're moving into the bias mitigation phase. In this phase, the mitigation steps can be done during pre-processing, which means by working with the training data, in processing, for those cases in where there is access to the models, and post-processing, in where it is possible to work with the resulting data. In each step, there were several algorithms available depending on the available data and specific mitigation needs. The idea that we have different alternatives for mitigating bias was very interesting, as this might fulfill different situations. The resulting work from the detection and mitigation can be incorporated as part of a decision model, can be used to improve an existing dynamic pricing algorithm, or can be part of our marketing workflow. Moreover, the resulting analysis can be useful for post-promotion analysis, post-mortem analysis, or an audit. In an ideal world, consumers should be able to rest assured that the information that we collect from them will not be used against them, that we will not target them in an unfair way, resulting in charging them higher price when compared to other privileged groups, or limiting their access to a promotion or a discount on what is known as an opportunity denial. This project uses data for good. We try to meet 6 of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals: good health and well-being, gender equality, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, responsible consumption and production, peace, justice, and strong institutions. With this project, we aim to bring awareness to the issue that in this day and age, our marketing actions might result in unfairness and price discrimination towards certain groups. For example, we're talking about an involuntary or per se price discrimination that results from our marketing actions, and we're not necessarily talking about conscious actions. So far, there is no silver bullet for eradicating bias, unfairness, and discrimination. However, given the rising importance of marketing in our society, it is crucial that marketers are not only aware of these issues, but also have the tools and techniques for detecting and minimizing bias, unfairness, and discrimination in our society. We want to say thanks to SaaS and to the SaaS Hackathon 2021 for this opportunity. The Hackathon is an exciting initiative that brings many ideas together. We look forward to further collaboration opportunities. We are the Fair Price team,